Automation is important, but only to a certain level.
On today's episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat, we talk to Mike Delana from North & Co. We talk about how he's focused on marketing and how that's got him from a one-man show to having multiple people on his team. Let's dive right in. Mike, thank you so much for joining on an episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. I'm excited. Connected with you probably 2.5 years ago, but I've been watching you on Instagram and just love everything that you're doing and would love to kind of just pick your brain on how you got into the real estate industry, different things that you've been doing on a marketing side, and then what kind of pulse is there on the market with everything going on, and how do you plan on kind of growing as you move forward? So who are you and what's a little bit about you?
Name's Mike Delana. I'm a real estate agent at North & Co. I'm also the branch manager for their East Valley office, which kind of encompasses like the Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Ahwatukee areas. Also run a team of 6 people, so 3 agents and then 3 supporting staff, including myself. Been in real estate for about 8 years, self-employed for about 15. So I ran a t-shirt company and a custom apparel company prior to that for 7 years. So just been doing my own thing for a long time. Couldn't really imagine it any other way. Got a family, 3 young kids, boy and 2 younger girls, wife, been married for almost 10. So yeah, just awesome. Arizona's home now and from California originally, but yeah.
Cool.
Ready to stay here.
What was it like going from the apparel business into real estate? What made you want to make that jump?
It wasn't a huge jump actually, because I was used to a sales cycle and hustling and selling. And if I didn't, then I didn't make money. So it was a very similar process there, except the sales cycle is longer for real estate. So like t-shirts, I'd talk to a school, they'd order 1,500 t-shirts, I'd make some money, a week and a half later, everything's turned over. Obviously the sales cycle for buying a house or selling a house is a little bit longer, right? So it's usually about 3 to 4 months from the time you have that first conversation to the time, you get paid on the end. So the transition wasn't that hard. I actually did both for about 6 months. Just so I had like a book of business enough in real estate to feel comfortable moving over. But yeah, it didn't take that long and it wasn't a huge struggle. I think a lot of people that come from like a corporate world or something where they're used to going in for like a certain number of hours and have no one other than themselves, managing themselves, like that can be challenging. I think being self-employed, as you probably know, it's challenging if you're not disciplined with your time and what your efforts are.
That seems to be a common theme is what's come up recently is just time management, how you're allocating your time, what you're spending your time on. That's really the biggest differentiator between how quickly you can grow if you're kind of plateauing or kind of sinking. So you have a team now. How soon did you start growing from by yourself to actually bringing people on?
So about 5 years ago, so about 2.5, 3 years in, I made my first hire, which was my assistant, Michelle, who is now our operations manager. That was the best hire I've ever made to this day. She took like 30 to 40% of the workload off my shoulders in terms of paperwork and scheduling of things so that I could open that time up to sell. And then I hired a marketing coordinator, Victoria, probably almost 2 years ago now. So that was about 5.5 years in. She took some of the responsibilities of Michelle that she was doing both away from her, just to focus primarily on marketing. And then I've had 2 agents on my team for a couple of years, Justin and Hunter. So they're doing their own business. I help them. We co-list things. We kind of work as a team to sell things. And then my most recent hire, Katie, is a showing agent. So all she does is show homes for me. So I don't take buyers out typically anymore. She does all the showings. Then once they find the house they like, I write the offer, I negotiate it, and kind of take it to.
How have you identified? Definitely critical roles and kind of taking time off of your back, which obviously you can then go use and spend on things that are more ROI positive. But how did you go about identifying what to hire for first?
Until about a year ago, a business coach who was really helpful, and basically we sat down and we tracked my time. So before I hired an assistant, I wasn't working with him yet, but I knew that would be a large factor. But after that, in terms of tracking all these other time-sucking activities. So showing homes, for example, like if you track my time for 3 weeks, I was spending a week probably close to half my time showing homes. So driving, opening up a door, and there's some value in there, but pretty much anybody can do that, right? So if I can hire that out and then I'm the value in terms of writing the offer, negotiating the deal, running them through the inspection and appraisal process, like that's really where you need to be a critical thinker and a problem solver, not so much opening doors. So I just think it was just evaluating my time, figuring out where I didn't need to be or where I could pay someone less than what my hourly rate was to do the same job, and then fill the time that I wasn't doing those things with money-making activities, right? Because that's the key. If you just work less and you don't do anything with that time that opens up, it's pointless. So that's a critical part of it.
And how much is marketing been part of that growth? I mean, what are different things you're doing? And
our marketing budget is usually about 10 to 12% of our revenue for the year, which I think is pretty normal industry standard. I'd say some people go as little as 8%, some push to like 14, but we do like the 8 to 12. We always try to do one or two new things every year, whether it's not something like a small change. Like we try to do a whole new platform or something completely brand new where like it makes us uncomfortable. But we have some core tenants too. So like we get a lot of business from Yelp. So we always do some kind of advertising on Yelp, a lot of return and repeat business from our sphere. So we do a lot of marketing around our sphere in terms of postcards, emails, phone calls, events. Like I've got a whole, system in place for that. We do some lead generation online, although we're looking to get more into that. We have really good video content. So someone on my team, Justin, who's a sales agent, he happens to do really awesome video too. So that's helpful. We try to do a video a week. The pandemic has slowed that down a little bit because we couldn't leave our house for a couple months. And his wife actually is a nurse and, is front lines of that. So we had to hold off for a little bit, but we're getting back into weekly videos so we have content.
I'd love to dive into kind of the impacts that you've felt from that since you've been doing ongoing content creation. But before that, I mean, there's something that caught my eye, the gluten-free sign that you're on the news for. Would love to hear more about that. I mean, what was it? How did you think through that? How did you execute on it?
In general, we try to do things that are just a little bit different. I think everybody's got a sign writer that says for sale or, just the general kind of sign writers. I always thought it was funny to try to get people's attention so they remembered your house with something different. So, around September, October timeframe, we have ones that say not haunted. In the summer we have, don't worry, we've got AC, just, free pizza with purchase, but whatever it is, just to grab some attention. The particular one you're talking about is, what did that say? I think it said gluten-free. And it was meant to be a joke. And just like, cause it's a trendy thing, like it's gluten-free, right? Some people took it seriously in that they thought the house was gluten-free and that no gluten had ever been in the house. And unbeknownst to me, that month was Celiac Awareness Month that we got on the news. And I got a lot of negative feedback. Really? Actually, I got some emails and calls from people that were offended by the sign. And I said, look, like I didn't mean to offend anybody. I was trying to stand out in terms of, you come to a house and you think it's funny and that's the house you remember. It's marketing only. Yeah. And obviously I apologize. And it was not meant to be a insensitivity kind of thing, but I did get on the news, a couple different stations. Yeah. I can't say I can directly correlate like some business I got from it. Yeah. But it's never bad to be on the news. So I had a lot of people that saw it, that's for sure.
No, that's awesome. So do you guys continue to still do the one-off signs?
We don't do the gluten-free one anymore. We decided to pull that one, but yeah, we do some new ones. We've got about 7 or 8 kind of in rotation. The free pizza with purchase one seems to be one of the more common, funnier ones. I've actually had people ask me to, send them a pizza after, like they thought it was part of the deal. Really? And I have, yeah.
We'll take all that they can get.
And some people have written it into a contract. So when we sold our personal residence in Tempe a couple years ago, we had the sign out and someone wrote in the offer, like, please provide a Illuminati's gift certificate. Like, I swear to God, in the deal. So.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot of creative things, a lot of new things. I love that you're introducing something new that's just not slight changes, just big tweaks to your overall strategy. How much does data and analytics play into your overall marketing strategy, your business decision-making?
I'm a very calculated person. So I sit down at the end of every year, actually a couple months before the end of the year, so like September timeframe, and I analyze the last 12 months. Like, let's use Yelp as an example. Okay, I've spent X amount of money on Yelp, and here's the business that's come from Yelp. What's my ROI? Has the last couple months been better or worse? And I kind of tweak accordingly. So each year starting in September and then ending around like mid to late November, that's when my budget is set for the next year. So when people call me in March and they're like, hey, we've got a great marketing thing, I'm like, sorry, my budget is already figured out. Like, I already know what I'm going to do. I mean, unless it's something absolutely exceptional or something that I hadn't already thought of myself, but like kind of was planning and it didn't work out. Like then I'll like, so video, for example, like, part of the reason I wanted to meet with you was to see how we can promote our videos better. Cause we've been doing it, but it hasn't given me the boost that I thought it would. It's helped a lot. I've gotten listings because of it, but in terms of promoting the videos, I think we could be doing a better job. So to answer your question, yes, very calculated. Every single marketing avenue, we sit down and analyze the ROI on it. And do we need to add here? Do we need to subtract here? Do we need to completely get rid of it?
Marketing automation at all a big piece of the puzzle? Because I mean, it sounds like you engage with people quite a bit. Do you use a CRM?
We do use a CRM. I personally don't believe in like drips, at least not in my industry. I think it's really obvious when you're getting dripped on, and I don't think people like it. So automation is important, but only to a certain level. I think, unfortunately, at least in our industry, there has to be someone physically doing something. So I'll give you an example. Birthday cards. We write a birthday card for every single person. We have a system in place for it. So we pull our CRM for like the next month and we see whose birthday it is. We pre-write all the cards and then we put them in slots for like the days of the month. So your birthday's on the 11th. I'll put it on the 8th to be mailed. So all I do is on the 8th, I pull it out and I toss it in the mail. But someone still has to write the cards and someone still has to throw them in the mail. Like automating that, if they're handwritten, is impossible. Right. So we have a system, but someone still has to do the work. I don't know if that is answering your question, but.
So going back to the videos, I mean, what kind of brought that idea the videos you guys are doing are sick. What kind of brought that idea to the table?
We'd been wanting to do video for a while, and a lot of other agents were doing video. And I felt like it was a little, not boring, but it was all the same stuff. Like, hi, my name's yada yada, and here's the house. And it was panning shots that were really slow. So I actually had a title rep send me a video of a guy in New York who was doing really kind of cool videos where we kind of got a lot of our inspiration from. I don't want to say like I copied him, but like kind of. I took his general outline and I made it better. Like he talked a lot at the camera still, which I didn't like. So we only do voiceover. It helps for a couple of reasons. One, you can plan ahead a lot. I just need a song, then I can write the script. I can record it a week or two ahead of time instead of having to do it all on site. So it just made it a lot easier. We also know what we're going to shoot when we get there because we already have the script written and all the audio and everything done. So we have kind of a shot list that we create ahead of time. So if you're trying to do a video a week, not only do you have to write the script, figure out the song, find the house, shoot the house, produce it every single week, you got to expedite wherever you can and cut wherever you can, right? So taking me off camera in terms of speaking to the camera was a huge piece. But we got inspiration from a guy in New York City. And like I said, we're pretty close to what he does. We switched things up. We made it our own. I think what's cool about it is like I show my personality in them.
That's what I think.
And they're fun and like they still match with my brand, which is like fun, quirky, a little off color, somewhat politically incorrect, depending on what the piece is. Maybe not the video so much, but like that's kind of the brand.
And what has that process been like trying to figure it out? I'm sure at day one it was just like, all right, let's go and shoot. And then, I mean, is it continually looking after every shot that you do and looking at the process?
Honestly, it was pretty seamless from the beginning because I've created processes like this before. I basically take the end result and then I backtrack it, right? So we need a video every Wednesday I'm going to post. How long does it take you, Justin, to produce it? Two nights, let's just say. All right. So you need to start working on it by Monday, which means we need to shoot it and you need to have the content prior to Monday. Well, how long is it going to take us to shoot? 1 day, 2 or 3 hours. So we need to be done before Monday, and before I can shoot, I need to have my music and my audio. Well, I need the music to do the audio. So music has to be done by Monday. Audio needs to be done by Wednesday. I send everything to you to cut before we shoot on Wednesday, and then you have until the Monday after to get it done. We kind of just broke it down and worked backwards. And honestly, we've followed it every single week. I think we tweaked it a few weeks in. We're like, hey, I need a little bit more time for music, or I need a little less time to produce. But that's it. I mean,
how are you guys using those currently? Because I mean, a video a week, one, it's a lot of work. Two, I mean, there's a lot that you can show. So, I mean, how are you guys using them, and what audience are you
Well,
really
this is
trying
part of what I want to talk to you about. We are posting them on everything social. So YouTube, I'm really trying to build my YouTube channel right now. Obviously, we're putting it on the website. We're sending it out to our emails that we do every 3 weeks to our sphere. We've got it on Instagram. We've got it on Facebook. We're doing Facebook ads, particularly for the listing side. So like if it's my listing, I'm promoting the listing to as a defined audience as I can with the limitations that Facebook and Instagram have. But I feel like we could be doing a better job. Our videos are around 2 minutes. I think if we cut them down into maybe shorter clips, we could, because I can't promote them on Instagram right now because they're too long. And if you put it on IGTV, you can't promote them. So there's little tweaks I think we still need to, and that's kind of part of the reason I wanted to talk to you, like little tweaks where we could get better and promote them and push them better. I think it's that, and I also think it's selecting an audience that is a little more targeted. That's kind of where I know just enough to kind of get myself into trouble, and not enough to like really make a huge, impact.
And who is the primary audience that you go after? It sounds like you help both buyers and sellers, but it seems like you have more of a passion or connection with the seller side.
I'd like to get more listings. So ideally I'd use the videos to promote it'd be twofold: to promote the listing itself, right? To get that actual house sold. But I also think it's a great tool to show other people that are selling, like, hey, these are really cool videos that you're doing that are way different. They get a lot more traction, a lot more views and eyes on them. So I think it's twofold, and that's kind of my questions. Do I combine those? I've been separating them.
I think you can totally.
I think I can too, but I've been somewhat separating. I've been doing some A/B testing. Like I said, I think I just know enough to get myself into trouble where I could spend a lot of money really quickly and not see the results. And I need a pretty defined ROI for it to be worth it. So that's something that we can chat about.
With COVID happening, I mean, has video helped you? I know you mentioned that you had to kind of stop production, obviously, but you can still be posting and all that. I mean, one, how has COVID impacted the overall real estate market? I mean, here in Arizona, obviously, you can probably speak more to, but has video helped with that at all?
Video obviously has helped. I mean, I think you can see a house in a different light with video. Photos obviously are stagnant and you can't get a feel for the space as well. We've been doing virtual tours along with video, but video kind of gives you a sense of what the space is and also can highlight things a lot better than photos. So like if you see a picture of a kitchen, you don't necessarily know what the appliances are, in terms of brand. You don't know what the cabinets are made of. Like a video, I can get real in depth with that. But it's also helped that people can't see the house in person or don't want to. And if I send a video over, which I've been doing, say, hey, I'll shoot you our Google Drive link of the video. Someone gets that sense without seeing it in person. To speak to the local market, I think our market's a lot different than most for two reasons. One, we were in a really good spot ahead of COVID in terms of where our market was at. Just record low inventory. I mean, like crazy low, like 50% of what's considered normal. Normal demand though, like nothing crazy on the demand side. So we just had no homes to sell. And people just didn't have that many choices. When COVID happened, there was a lot of homes that came on the market. There was like a 30% increase within just a few weeks. But even with the 30% increase and a lack of demand, still we're in a good spot. And as soon as the stay-at-home order came up, I think it was on the 14th of May, literally every single day, just straight shot up. Less homes coming on the market and more people out buying. And it never really stopped being like a seller's market outside of like the very high-end stuff. So anything over, 750 or $1 million, depending on what city you're in, that slowed down. But even that's picking up now. So there were probably a month or two max where it slowed down, but it was still really positive and a good seller's market.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's impacts on how people are seeing it. I mean, more virtually. There's been a lot of innovation just in the real estate space, just on trying to show more homes virtually. Do you think that COVID is going to change the way people buy moving forward? I mean, maybe not even permanently, but will there be change? And are you guys kind of thinking through how you can kind of adapt to maybe show more virtually or?
I don't know if there's enough information yet, to be honest. And I say that because during the 2 months where we were kind of shut down and no one was really comfortable going out, we had several buyers that bought houses sight unseen. And that was either myself or mostly my showing agent going and taking video for them and sending it to them and walking the house. And people bought and they felt comfortable. But if they had the choice, they probably would have come into town or seen the house, right? So I don't know. I can't imagine 2 or 3 years from now that there are people that are still going to be scared of COVID, especially if we have a vaccine or, and things are kind of back to normal. But certainly I think we should always be adapting and making things easier for a buyer, like make it easier for them to see and feel the space. But I don't know if it will totally shift that way. I think it's a good add-on, but I still think people will see homes in person if they can. I don't think that's ever going to really
I think you
change.
have to feel the community. You have to kind of feel the home. I think it can cut down on a lot of the looking at maybe stuff that, if I would have saw that, I wouldn't have came and seen it in person. So maybe you can narrow down the in-person a bit more. It'll be interesting to see. So I mean, with has it impacted your guys' what you guys are doing from a marketing perspective?
During the shutdown, I put a pause on everything marketing for about 4 weeks. Literally pause button, like
Everything.
pretty much everything. I mean, we kept doing our like sphere of influence stuff, and I was on the phone a lot more, and I was contacting past clients a lot more, doing a lot more checking in, like, hey, are you guys okay? Are you gonna be able to make your payment? Are you having trouble paying rent? Like, here are some programs you can do. If you can't pay your mortgage, like here's a thing called forbearance, which is a whole another topic. Not necessarily a positive thing, but for some people that were really strapped, like that was an option. So it was a lot more of that. And there was also like a sensitivity piece for me. Like, is it insensitive right now to really pushing hardcore marketing when like the country is falling apart and like people are scared, and like, are people even really paying attention to it? So for me, it was partly that, and it was partly like a little bit of fear, to be honest. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't want to spend $6, $7, $8 grand a month if I didn't know what was going to happen. I'd rather save that money in the event that I needed to pay, people on my team. Like, my goal was nobody gets laid off, nobody gets reduction in pay. I was really trying to, be sensitive to everybody on my team and make sure that everybody, stayed afloat, basically. So, but yeah, I'd say after 4, maybe 5 weeks, I started slowly kind of turning things on and increasing budgets. And now I'm pretty much back to normal as of probably last week. And we're going to start trying to do video every single week starting this week, which we just shot one yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So we got another one scheduled for next Wednesday. Good.
So what were people kind of push back? Anyone that you were reaching out to? Was there a sense of insensitivity with the outreach? Because I think there was a lot of panic, but I don't think I think people understood the business still needed to kind of happen and the world still needed to turn.
There wasn't a whole lot of pushback from my clientele, but I heard other agents that were having issues. I think it was really the messaging. Like, my messaging wasn't, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? Like, I wasn't making like my typical, do you know anybody who could buy right now? Like, I wasn't doing, and I don't do that, honestly, generally. I don't sound like that. But mine was more just like, hey, I'm checking in. Like, how's everything at your house? Like, are you guys okay? Is there anything on a real estate side, like questions I can answer? Like, I was not pushing business. I was more like a resource for people. So I didn't get any pushback. I mean, who's going to, balk at someone being helpful, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I meant it. And I wasn't just, I wasn't just saying that stuff. I felt it, and I wanted to make sure that people were in a good spot and knew what to do properly. So, but for the people that I think pushed along normally with kind of their regular sales pitch, it didn't seem to go over very well.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think people are receptive, but I think it's about how you communicate it. It's all in your approach. And I think the education side, I think that's huge value because people just need someone and help like during that time. And I think that's sounds like that's how you came off. Is the education a big part of what you guys are doing on an ongoing content production and just in your overall marketing?
Yes and no. We probably don't do enough of it. And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, which is I like to do things a little bit differently. Like, I feel like every agent's like, here are 3 great tips for buyers to qualify. And here's 7 things you should, update in your home to get the best bang for your buck. And while that is good content, it's not different enough for me. Yeah. And it gets lost in the noise, in my opinion. So we try to do things that are different. So like, I've kind of tried to stay away from that kind of stuff. And I also think, not that my buyers or sellers are more sophisticated, but I think they know enough that a lot of that stuff is very basic for them. And so a lot of the education honestly happens like during the buying and selling process. I mean, so I don't do a lot of marketing around that. It's just within the actual transaction.
No, that makes sense. So as we kind of wrap up, I mean, what is the future look like for you? I mean, what are the biggest things that you're working on? I know you mentioned you plan pretty much a year in advance and stuff. So what does either the end of 2020 look like or the beginning of 2021 look like?
Well, if you'd asked me that in January, my answer would have been a lot different, quite honestly. I think the pandemic has put a lot of things in perspective. Like up until prior to the starting, I would say every year I want to work a little bit less and make a little bit more. And that's been my goal, and it is still my goal. But I think how my business is structured and how hard I'm going to push and what my goal isn't as important anymore. It's still important, and I'm in general like a really intrinsically motivated person. I always want to do better, but I also realized like that's not the most important thing. Yeah. You know, I've got a family, I've got 3 young kids, I've got a wife, we got a new puppy at home. We have, thank you. We have, I guess I'm trying to focus a little bit more on like, even if I maintain my business where I'm at right now, which is a very good, positive spot, I'll be happy if my family life gets a little bit better. I think that's going to be, I think just my balance of time is going to be more my priority. Sure, I'm going to be looking to grow, but if I don't hit, whatever my GCI goal was that year, like I don't think I'm going to be as disappointed as I was in previous years, to be honest. There's always going to be a part of me that's competitive. Like I just naturally a competitive person. I'm one of those people that sees another agent close a certain amount of deals and I'm like, God damn it. Like why am I not there? And like, I know that's not healthy, but it's also what motivates me. Yeah. So there's a part of it where like, well, it is what it is. So video, to be specific, is going to be bigger. We're going to promote it in a better way. In terms of growing my team, I go back and forth. Like we have a really great team right now. Everybody gets along. We've got a lot of synergy. We're going really well. We definitely are not at our capacity, right? So like we're probably, if I had to guess, 60 to 70% of what we could do if really stressed. Not to say that I want everybody stressed, but if we were really pushed to do it, we could close more deals with the same team that we have right now. So I think before I get to growing the team, I want to get to the capacity or close without breaking people. And then we'll see. Adding more agents is great, but it takes time away from the core business. Adding team members is great, but we don't really need anybody else right now on the back end. So I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. Yeah. I mean, I know that's kind of like a mysterious cloud, like right up in the air, but I think it's gonna see how this year goes. Like for us, business wise, I'm a month ahead of my goal right now for the year. Nice. Which is awesome. Yeah. Where's there some wood so I can knock on it? Like,
yeah, I think this might be fake wood.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but if it does, like, we'll be doing some new things. We'll always be doing something new. But I'm still cycling through, like with the pandemic, kind of in like the real close rearview mirror of like, that's going to change things for sure.
Not looking too far ahead, not looking too far back, but just kind of real time,
a little more pivoting. Present. With definitely some planning, but
Did you play sports growing up?
I did. Played basketball.
That's where the competitive is.
Yeah. I got hurt young and had to stop, but
that's unfortunate.
I played a lot of sports, but basketball was my favorite, and I played it the longest.
Yeah. On a like personal note, this is like I'd love to know how do you go about balancing work, life, all that? Because I mean, it's last 2.5 years. I mean, literally right after got married. Actually, I think when we connected, I was still at ASU full time. Engaged, but like literally 2 days after he came back from the honeymoon, gave my 2 weeks, and then it's just head down.
If you don't work, you don't make money, right? And you're always kind of on. Like the people that are like, oh, I want to be in real estate so I can go to the beach and go golfing in the middle of the day and all this. Like, yeah, you can do that, but you end up working more hours than if you just worked for somebody else. So what I like to do, and I know a lot of really successful agents that do this, is they take out the time. Like let's look at the month ahead. They take out the time of where they want to be with their family and trips. And like, so for example, on my voicemail, it says, I don't answer my phone from 5 to 8 p.m. And I don't. When it hits 5 p.m., I shut it off. I come back at 8. That's the time when we do dinner and baths with the kids and stories and play with them. Like I've just carved out that time ahead of time. Occasionally I will, let's say there's like an offer that's out and I'm going to hear back by 6 and my client got the house. I'm going to give them a call at 5:55 and let them know that they got the house. But outside of those exceptions, like I'm pretty firm on that. So you just have to carve out the personal time and then stick to it. It's discipline. That's all it really is. There's always going to be more work, There's always going to be something to do. It's like the mail, right? Like there's always more mail the next day. Like, so it's a challenge though.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. You have to, I don't know, is it like an anxiety thing with you? Like,
No.
okay. See, mine's like an anxious thing. Like if I know I have something to do, I want to do it.
I mean, I get anxious at that, just knowing that like, dude, there's probably someone else that's like doing something, they're doing something, and basically, and I think that's the competitive side where, I mean, I grew up playing baseball, and if I wasn't in the classroom, I was on the field trying to get better because I knew that more time I spent there, the better I was gonna be on the come game time. But
I think it also depends on your relationship, and I think once you have kids, you're gonna need even more home time. But if you have a good support system at home and they're fine with you working a lot, and that is not hurting your relationship, then great. I mean, I do think while we're young and we have the ability to work very hard, we should. But I also think you're sacrificing something. You're sacrificing time with your wife or your significant other or your family that you're not going to ever get back. And I'm guilty of it still, and I have to kind of pull myself away and be like, but everything you do, it's a choice, right? Like, am I going to take this phone call or am I going to be with my family? And if I take the phone call, I get more business and more money, which helps my family, but I'm not there with them. And so I understand that when I don't answer my phone from 5 to 8, I'm going to lose some business, and I have to be okay with that. But I would say most people, honestly, that hear my voicemail, they're like, that's super cool. Like, good for you. Like, and I tell people up front, as soon as like my first buyer consult, my first seller consult, hey, I'm open. I'm free 7 days a week. However, from 5 to 8 every single day, I just don't answer my phone. I'll get back to you after 8. And that's just the way it is.
And do you audit and look back every month and just kind of, all right, I need to spend a little bit more time and just basically kind of balance it out on them?
Probably not as much as I should, but we've got a second place we bought up in Show Low in September of last year. So we're leaving tomorrow to go up for 3 days. We try to get up there as much as we can and try to do, trips fairly often. Before, I would say a couple years ago when I wasn't great at this, my wife would say, hey, we want to go back east to visit my parents for like a week. And I'd be like, I can't do that. I got too many deals. I got, and now I'm like, yeah, sure. How much time you want to take? And it's just, you just have to make that choice and you figure it out.
Planning.
You just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always, even if you don't have a team like I do, there's another agent that you trust that can cover for you. There's somebody else on your team here that can cover for you. You just have to figure it out. Like you schedule the family stuff first and you make it work.
Lots of great information. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Where can people find you if they're looking to buy a home, sell a home? I mean, how can people reach out to you?
Oh man, lots of ways. Website's MikeDelina.com. Instagram's @MichaelDelina. Facebook's, I think it's same. Mike Delina or Michael Delina. Yeah, I mean, it's Google my name. You'll see me everywhere on the first page.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, appreciate the time and look forward to seeing how much more you guys can grow this through COVID.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.